welcome everybody to the Be a Real Gamer.
What's the problem?
Welcome everybody to the Be a Real Gamer podcast. With me, Donnie, as always.
How you doing?
And our special guests, Neal, Koibu, Erikson, aka SC2 Ratings, and MLG Ryan.
What's up, guys?
How's everybody doing?
Doing well. Doing well. How are you guys?
We're doing pretty well today.
I'm doing all right. So, Alex, what did you want to talk with these gentlemen about today?
I actually wanted to first off ask Ryan about his how he got his job in MLG at MLG, excuse me.
Sure. So I started off back in high school with MLG as a pro Halo 1 gamer.
Oh, that's great.
So we started competing, did pretty well in tournaments, and then at the end of Halo 1 and the beginning of Halo 2, MLG picked up Halo 2. I started going into college, didn't really have as much time to be a pro gamer, so and plus I liked Halo 1 better than Halo 2. Kind of gave up competitive gaming, or professional gaming anyway, and just attended MLG events because I enjoyed going there as a spectator. So one day I just decided to volunteer at one of the events. I volunteered as a referee. They decided to bring me out to subsequent events as a referee, and then I've just kind of worked my way up through there.
Is it common practice for people who work in MLG to actually be former professional gamers and whatnot?
There's a couple. I mean, some of them have segued into stuff that I had done, and a few of them have segued from pro to caster.
Right.
But I'd say the majority of people have not been pros.
Okay. You're doing a lot of stuff over there, Alex.
Yeah, the Twitch chat apparently is having some issues. The YouTube stream is coming in a lot clearer, so I'm going to move over the guys there. Anyways, moving on. Just some technical issues. Kind of lost it here.
Okay, I'll continue on then. Well, Ryan, first of all, what was it like playing professional Halo 1? I was never a competitive Halo 1 player. I kind of started playing in Halo 2, so even then I wasn't professional, obviously. But
Sure. So MLG had very, very humble beginnings. My first event ever was held in the back of a Dave & Buster's. We brought our own TVs. It was, it was very small compared to how it is today. There was no main stage, no production value, no nothing. That was it. So, but I loved the game. I loved the atmosphere, and despite there not being huge production value, I loved being a pro, and if I still had the pro kind of skills, then I would probably still try and be a pro to this day, because for me, there's nothing better than competing against the best of the best.
Okay, you mentioned before that you mentioned you liked Halo 1 better than Halo 2.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any games that you play today that you feel have that that core spirit that Halo 1 had that wasn't there in Halo 2?
I mean, to be honest, a lot of it's probably just because I was raised on Halo 1, and so I like Halo 1 just because that's what I grew up with. I think all of the games that are played today, like StarCraft 2, League of Legends in particular, are both really, really good competitive games. Dota as well.
Absolutely.
All of those games are awesome in terms of spectator and the fact that there are high skill caps involved at the very top level. I think all of those games are really good.
Do you still play FPS?
I've kind of gone away from console, and I've started playing a lot more PC games. I still play with my friends every once in a while. We actually still have Halo lands. For those of you that follow the Halo competitive scene, the Ogres host lands at their place usually annually. There's also lands in Virginia that we go to. So I'll do land stuff like that. I'll play Halo 4 occasionally with my friends, but not really. And as far as PC FPS, I can't really hack it, to be honest. I tried playing PC FPS and I get destroyed, so don't play too much of that. Yeah.
It comes with a lot of time. I was a COD player for a long time. Go ahead and laugh.
Mm-hmm. No, COD's is also really good.
And then I moved over when Battlefield 3 came out to PC, and I realized how much different it is using a mouse and keyboard.
Mm-hmm.
I got destroyed for what, 3 months, 4 months.
Yeah.
I couldn't even break even. It took me months to try to break positive.
Strangely enough, for me, starting off playing FPS, I think it was a mixture between console and PC for me because I played Halo 2 and Counter-Strike pretty much at the same time. I think I probably started playing Halo 2 a little bit earlier though. So those were my games I grew up on as far as shooters go.
Mm-hmm.
And those are what made me such a big FPS fan. So I understand what you're saying when you say that, it's a completely different experience between playing on the PC and the console though, regardless of what the game is.
Yeah, I mean, I tried playing Counter-Strike. That was the first PC FPS I got into. And coming from Halo, where you can shoot cross-map with no recoil, to what Counter-Strike is with recoil and shooting through walls and all kinds of different mechanics, it just
It's electric.
Yeah, I couldn't aim with the recoil.
I think Counter-Strike is probably, I can attribute that game, well, that and Halo actually to my accuracy ratings. That those, if you can figure out how to play those games, then I think any shooter just comes naturally from that point.
Sure.
Completely agree with that one. Halo 3 was probably the first real FPS I played, because mostly before that it was a lot of tactical shooters. It was SOCOM, the Rainbow Six games.
Mm-hmm.
I played a little bit of Splinter Cell competitively, and then I played Call of Duty 3 at a somewhat competitive level. Then I played Halo, and I realized how good you guys are and how much time you guys have to dedicate to be good at that game.
Sure.
I was putting in 4 or 5 hours a day and really trying in comp stuff like quad shield BRs, just doing BR practice, and I couldn't handle it with the some of the pros that were out there. I mean, I couldn't even get in a room with those pros. My clan, the H2O PMS clan, they had a semi-pro team, and I played the people who sat on the bench of the semi-pro team, and I played with them for about a month and a half, and I just couldn't cut it. And I grew a lot of respect for Halo players.
Sure.
Probably the fastest reflex I've ever seen. I mean, how long have you worked for MLG? And how much have you seen change since you've worked there? I mean, I know you mentioned the back of a Dave & Buster's when you first started playing.
Right.
Which is kind of mind-blowing when you think about it.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'm really bad with time and dates, but I started working there shortly after Halo 2 was released. I don't know the date on that. Up until today. I have not missed an event since I started. As far as what I've seen change, it's ridiculous. Like, coming from, zero production value, no main stage. When there was a main stage, they put literal lamps up there for lighting. Like, they gave out little tiny trophies, the prize money. We got second place at our first event. I got $1,000 to split amongst the team, and a box of Balls energy drink.
Balls.
Yeah, that was our prize. And
yeah, BAWL.
Yeah, BAWLS.
It's just funny,
yeah,
you guys win. Oh, we won balls. We literally won balls.
I mean, that drink was tasty. I haven't seen it around since I won that, but yeah. So I mean, from that to the prize money you see now, the production value you see now, the size of the venue, streaming. There was no streaming at our first event. They had some guy that had to plug physical things into the TV. I have no idea what he did, but it was super low budget stuff. and so just everything, the whole culture, the atmosphere around gaming, everything has changed
Oh,
since I
it's grown
started.
so much. I mean, I was looking for that kind of stuff that they have now when I first started watching MLG. What, we're talking what,
Froze for
2003,
a second for
2004?
me.
Yeah, you cut out for a second.
I said I was looking for that kind of stuff when they first when MLG first started coming around. This was like what, Donnie, 2004,
Mm-hmm.
2003?
That's when I first started hearing about them, 2003.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking for that stuff, and there really was nothing to be found. Today, it's amazing. I mean, with
Absolutely.
with how awesome Twitch is and MLG's own site and the VODs that they have. I mean, everything's so accessible now.
It's safe to say the gaming industry itself has kind of changed to cater to the esports community,
Which is like a dream come true.
That is attributed to MLG. They were the first, obviously.
Sure.
I mean, another question I wanted to ask is what your job entails is probably a question you get a lot.
Okay. So I am the tournament director for Major League Gaming. And at events, what I do is I'm basically in charge of one tournament. And usually that's StarCraft 2. In Dallas, since StarCraft 2 didn't have an open event, I was in charge of Call of Duty. But what I do is I run the tournament. So I have a team of somewhere between 10 and 20 referees that I delegate to. We have a bunch of players, so I have to get the referees to where they need to be during the event. I need to tell the players where they need to be, and also I'm running the bracket. I'm putting in scores, advancing the bracket, helping to coordinate with streams, pretty much anything and everything that goes into running the tournament. I'm kind of spearheading that for one tournament.
Okay. And in Anaheim, which bracket did you handle? From what I remember, you were supposed to be handling the StarCraft division.
I did StarCraft in Anaheim. Yeah. Yeah, I've run every single StarCraft event MLG has ever had to date, except for Dallas.
I guess that was. Didn't they have 2 at Dallas events in a row, if I remember correctly?
It might have been the end of one season and the beginning. To be honest,
Yeah.
I've been to like 40+ events, and
I'm sure they all kind of blur together.
Yeah.
Yeah. MLG is actually kind of what got me into StarCraft. Was the one right in, I guess it was October.
Mm-hmm.
After Hurricane Sandy, I was in a hotel room in Philadelphia, and I had literally nothing to do. And I sat there and I watched MLG streams on my phone for about, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours straight.
Cool.
And I said, "This is an amazing game."
Yeah.
Yeah. When this guy started getting into StarCraft, he would just be constantly sending me Twitch videos like, check this guy out. I'm like, I don't understand what's going on.
Yeah.
It's gotten to the point, though, where I don't play StarCraft. I've never touched the game. I don't think I have the mental capability to play it. But I do periodically sit down and watch somebody stream, just because I've gotten to the point where, because of him, I find it entertaining. I sit there and I watch. I still don't completely understand what's going on.
Sure. I mean, even if you don't understand the whole game, you can still appreciate like big battles, and it's one side versus another side. There are things that casual gamers can still pick up on and cheer for and all that kind of stuff.
And I mean, I think you mentioned a huge thing, the skill cap. That's something that is probably not in the vocabulary of a lot of gamers.
Mm-hmm.
There's a really high skill cap in the games that you guys show off.
Right.
And that's something that is a huge deal on the competitive side of it, because I mean, you could watch League or Dota or StarCraft players where they could literally play a near perfect game the entire time and screw up for maybe 12 seconds and lose the game.
Mm-hmm.
But that to me is the beauty of the game.
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for StarCraft players, because I can appreciate the game, but I also can't play it well. I can't multitask. That many hotkeys is just too much for me, too much going on for my brain. So I have a huge amount of respect for all pro gamers, and StarCraft, the stuff that they do, their APM, just the dedication to the game, it's insane. You have to put in a lot of work to be a pro StarCraft player.
Absolutely. I mean, I've watched a couple of pros play, and just the kind of stuff they're doing is just it's perplexing, really.
Mhm.
I didn't think the human brain could calculate that many different tasks at a single time, but they do it. And I mean, I guess that would probably be a good time to try to get a few questions in with Neal about the website's SC2Ratings.com, right?
Yeah.
Alex is probably better attributed to asking because once again, StarCraft. Not my.
Is there anything that you'd like to mention about the site specifically?
Well, you already got its URL, so for now, no.
I remember hearing something about there's a possibility of you expanding the site to other games.
Yeah, we're looking into expanding into League of Legends and World of Tanks and maybe a couple other things, but we're still kind of doing working out the development aspect of that and talking with people who would be managers of that content. So we're not there yet, but we're headed in that direction.
It's something that I kind of look forward to. I recently started watching World of Tanks, and there's a lot more to the game than I really thought.
Yeah, I don't actually know anything about World of Tanks really. It's just a friend suggested that that would be a good thing since World of Tanks is starting up, and he's someone whose opinion I respect in esports. So I decided, well, why not? We'll give it a shot. And I've got in touch with some of the people that do World of Tanks stuff and that are behind that. So hopefully they'll provide some support.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot about World of Tanks. It's gaining a lot of popularity. I mean,
They're going to release that
the
console.
Xbox 360 too. Yeah.
Yeah, well, the company behind it's putting a lot of money into it to push it forward, and it's been picking up popularity in Korea and the U.S. And Russia, hugely popular in Russia, I hear.
That was definitely a game I had interest in, but I just didn't know if I could play it. There's so many games that are like that. StarCraft is one of them, and so I just look at it, I'm like, I'm not. It's very daunting.
That's agreed. I mean, I tried to get. I remember when I first started playing, I spent 2 weeks not even actually playing against the person, just practicing a basic build and repeating it, just to not be to entirely screw up when I play. It takes a lot to get into StarCraft, to try to get good at it. I mean,
Yeah.
you could be a bronze player, and there's a lot of guys who are in bronze who just pick up the game and go for it.
Neal, Alex is very familiar with your website. I'll be honest, I don't think I've ever been on it unless he's linked it to me and I don't remember. Exactly what is it that you guys do?
So we track all the major StarCraft tournaments. So all your WCSs, all your DreamHacks, Asus Frogs, ESLs, Home Story Cup, all the big StarCraft tournaments. We track them and provide brackets, so you can follow players through things, and then we provide links to all the VODs, and then we provide a section where people can, rate how good a match was. So that way, let's say DreamHack just finished and you missed it because you had work or something, and you want to come back and watch all the great games from DreamHack. Well, you hop on SC2 Ratings and you can sort through all the games, from the ones at the beginning to the ones at the end, and you can say, oh, hey, this one was rated, 4 out of 5. It's pretty good. I'll take a look. Or this one, 50 people said this was a 5 out of 5. It looks like I have to watch this game. Whereas these other ones, you could have a game between Marine King and ST, but two very famous StarCraft players, two really good StarCraft players, but it might have been a shitty game that is not worth watching. So that way you can find out the games that are worth watching as opposed to games that aren't worth watching, which is the whole reason why I built it, is because I started working a full-time job and didn't have time to watch every single StarCraft game that was released.
Because there's just so much.
There's too much content. So
honestly,
the idea is to track it all and then use community crowdsourcing to figure out the good stuff from the bad stuff.
Pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, Ryan, there was what, about 128 player pool for MLG in Anaheim?
I think that's right.
And so you got to imagine, there's 64 games around. Excuse me, there's 64 matches around, and some of those go to 3. So there's a ton of content.
And that's just for the MLG tournaments. And you mentioned you cover the tournaments for across StarCraft. So that's
there's a lot that's going on.
You got the GSL stuff. You got the Home Story Cup. You got, you probably mentioned everything already.
I'm sure I forgot a few, but yeah, NASLs, MLGs.
Now I recall hearing something about Blizzard wanting to kind of I don't know, unite all the different tournaments together or something, or do their own kind
Yeah,
of.
that recently happened earlier this year. So now there you have the official WCS format for StarCraft, where the biggest of the biggest tournaments are now organized into, the official WCS America, WCS Korea, WCS Europe, and then you have like lower level tournaments that can still do the thing that they were doing before, but now when you win those tournaments, you just get the prize money and a few points that contribute to the WCS tournament. Whereas if you participate in a WCS tournament, you get prize money, and then you get a lot of points for winning or placing well. And those points are used to put people at like the final tournaments at the end of each season, and then the final tournament at the end of the year, which is like the biggest tournaments with the best prize money and the best prestige. So they've changed it into a system
Like
where
the World
things
Series of
all
Poker.
kind of work together and funnel towards one grand finale.
It's like the World Series of Poker. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's what they're doing.
It's a good idea, and I honestly, when I read about it, I wasn't sure exactly what was going on, but my understanding of it, I was like, well, that's really cool, and I honestly think that more of these bigger competitive games should start doing something like that. The developers should, our publishers should start getting more involved with the competitive side of things,
Hmm.
and getting that running smoothly, and
Which apparently is something that DICE is doing for Battlefield 4. But I mean, we hope that it goes through MLG. We really hope that it goes through MLG. I don't know if that's something you can touch on. I'm sure you probably can if you can or you can't.
Anything
If there's
that
any news at all on that, I'm sure you
Right.
will.
Yeah, anything that's not released already on the MLG website or anything, I'm not gonna be dropping
Okay.
any new bombs for you guys.
Okay. I mean, DICE has kind of hinted at it, but it could be some other league somewhere. I really hope it's MLG, though.
Sure.
I mean,
It'd be pretty terrible if the game sells really well here. But moving on.
awkward.
You also host a show. I'm sorry. You're also the DM for a JP McDaniel show called Roleplay, which I'm sure most of the people in chat is probably very familiar with.
Yeah. It's,
So-
Breger's familiar with that too, aren't you,
Mhm.
Ryan?
Yep, I am. I'm a
Yeah.
cast member.
He's also possibly the person I've seen roll the most ones I've ever seen in my life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, again, I haven't played much D&D, but the odds kind of seem like they're stacked against it.
Well, I think it's one of those things where he got a reputation for it after one game, and now every time he rolls a one, it gets like,
Yeah.
oh my god, another one, when in reality it's
Mhm.
probably fairly average.
Well,
I mean,
actually, if we look at the stats from Dwarf Midget, that is my most rolled number. So, I mean, yes, people are blowing it out of proportion, but also, yes, I rolled a shitload of ones.
Yeah, I mean, it may be your most rolled number, but by what percentage? The stats are slightly misleading because they don't show everything.
Yeah.
Do they show side by side like how many of each number you roll? Because you might be like 19 ones, but then 18 of everything else.
I'd
in
have
which
to
case
look at. I'd have to ask Dwarf Midget, I think.
Yeah.
I'm
So
also
It's kind of like one of
gonna
those things where if you're always looking for the one, that's the one that's standing out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
People don't let me forget.
Oh
Anywhere
no.
I go, I
As a
am
person-
constantly reminded.
As a person who doesn't play D&D, I have to ask, what does it mean when you roll a 1?
Bad stuff, man.
Mhm.
Bad stuff. If you're making an attack and you roll a 1, there's a chance that you'll like drop your weapon or stab your ally or throw yourself off balance to like get a penalty to your next attack or skip your next attack or maybe break your magical bow or just
Which was-
generally be told over and over again everywhere you go, and that kind of be your defining characteristic.
That's great.
Ryan's
I
just
mean,
like, yeah.
he alluded to something that actually did happen. Apparently, Ryan got a very, very valuable bow, and he rolled like 3-4 ones in a row, and he's like, "So you snap your bow in half, and now the weapon is not worth anything."
Mhm.
So
But, I mean, I have a question because I don't really understand the way D&D works. How does you rolling a 1 get to you snapped your magical bow? Who or what makes that rule or makes that happen?
So the way the game works is you declare what action you want to do. it's a sandbox game, so you can say you want to do anything you want. You can say you want to like start dancing, pat your head on your hand on your head. You know, you want to attack a guy, and then you make a dice roll, usually a 20-sided die, with some modifiers based on stats and whatnot, to see whether or not you're successful in this action. If you roll a 20, you're guaranteed success. If you roll a 1, you are guaranteed failure, regardless of modifiers and whatnot. So the other aspect of that is if you roll a 20 for an attack or certain other things, you can critically fail. So you roll a 1 on your 20-sided die, then you have to make like a second check to see, okay, how badly did you fail? And then in this particular case, Ryan rolled a 1 on his check to see how badly he failed. In which case we did a second check to see, okay, you critically failed, critically failing. How badly did you critically fail that? And I don't remember what you rolled. It was, you know, a medium number. It was like a 10 or something.
Yeah, I think
or
it was
5.
Or
it was something that was bad, but it wasn't, you know, another 1. And considering that he had already rolled 2 or 3 ones earlier in the battle, just a few rounds ahead before that, it was just, well, you failed so miserably, now you've broken your bow. Now, there are tables that you can determine, that you can look up to see, okay, if you rolled this section, this badly below, if you fail by this much, this can happen. If you fail by this much, this can happen. But he rolled off those tables, so it was kind of a, well.
So like it was
as the person who runs the game.
Okay, so the person who runs the game just decided, all right, guy, you broke your bow.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, the person who runs the game, the DM or the GM, depending on your linguistic skill, is kind of the arbitrator of things, kind of the, you know, the person that makes all final decisions and sometimes interprets things that have no rules. So that's how it went down.
Another quick question I wanted to ask you. This is probably going to turn into a long question. It's one of those seems really simple but isn't questions. You play 2.5, I believe, correctly?
We play a heavily modified version of 2nd edition. Very heavily modified. Yeah. Okay.
I've played 4 so far, and it seems drastically different in certain ways.
Night and day.
Okay.
Yeah.
You seem to go a lot more freeform with the way that the characters maneuver.
Yeah, so sorry, go ahead.
And there seems to be a lot more focus on tokens in other games, and exactly where the character is, you seem to sort of, how can I put this, sort of storytell it a lot better. It's a lot different. I'm sure it's a lot harder and takes a much more experienced GM or DM to do something like this and handle it properly.
Yeah, well, 4th edition is a very solid, well thought out system that is almost completely designed around combat. So 4th edition is very. When they made 4th edition, they wanted to kind of make it more accessible to people, make it a little more fantastical, a little bit easier, so there weren't so many complicated, difficult to understand rules. So they put everything in like a grid format and made everyone have super cool powers, which are great. You know, I love being able to, you know, I played a lot of 4th edition, so there's a lot of cool stuff, a lot of fun things you can do in 4th edition. But it winds up being very formulaic. It's kind of almost like a pen and paper MMO, almost, in the way that you have this thing, you always gain this, you always gain this. You know, you can move X distance exactly on this grid, and then you can cast your spell on this grid this far away, which is great. It makes for really smooth combat that's entertaining and strategic and dynamic. But it does take away in certain other areas, and I prefer the more relaxed, free-form rules where you're not staring at this grid that explains how everything is. Instead, you kind of have to picture it in your mind. Like it's more difficult to get into in some regards, but it ends up, I feel it ends up having a greater depth of characters, because then it's not, okay, I have this, you know, these 4 abilities that I can use right now, I'm going to pick this one. It's, okay, well, I'm fighting a person, what do I want to do? Do I want to just make an attack? I could run away, I could climb this thing, I could, you know, in 4th edition you have like, well, you can like make it down to a formula. If I run away, I can't attack him with this thing. Okay. If I run up here and do this, okay, I can do this, but it's not going to make that much of a difference. 2nd edition allows for a lot more flexibility, which is very, very frustrating in certain situations, but also very rewarding, and I prefer that dynamic.
It does seem much more dynamic, and it seems like it's a lot more robust. And it seems like there's a lot more that seems to be at your discretion if I understand it properly.
Yeah.
You know, at the GM's discretion.
Absolutely.
Okay. I mean, Ryan, what made you choose a ranger specifically?
So I usually always play something that can heal. Like in all the games I play recently, like World of Warcraft and League of Legends and stuff like that, I always play support type healer stuff,
Hmm.
and that's because that's what I'm best at. But I really like. I looked through all of the classes that were possible, and I decided I wanted to like break out of the box and play something that I don't normally play. So anything with a heal was off the table to begin with. And I think Jeff had already claimed that he wanted to be the tank slash fighter type deal. Um, so I was thinking either going thief or ranger, and Jen said she wanted to be thief. So I really like that I can kind of hang back, put in some damage, and with my OP stats I can actually tank some, which is nice. But
Yeah,
I
you
don't know.
seem really broken.
Yeah, it's a really versatile character, and so yeah, I picked it because I enjoy kind of the perks that go along with being a ranger. It just seemed like it'd be cool to play.
I mean, for a while I was wondering why you was the archer, and with the really high health that you had, and why Jeff was playing up in the front lines and why you both weren't in the front lines.
Hmm.
But then I kind of seen some of the abilities that you guys got, and the ranger, the ability to like attack twice in a turn
Right.
with a bow.
Hmm.
I kind of understood it a lot more.
Right. So like I can dish out more damage with my bow. Well, statistically speaking, on paper, I can do more damage with my bow. So usually my strategy is let Neal tank for a while and do as much damage as I can, and then when Neal gets in trouble,
Vincent.
Vincent.
When Vincent gets in
Jeff.
trouble, I'll run in and try and start taking more of a tanking role once that happens.
Okay. I personally found the hat that you wore for like, what was it, 6 weeks?
Hmm.
Was great.
Yeah, I was hoping. Well, when we first got it, I was hoping it had some kind of magical capability to it, and then it didn't. But JP told me that it did, and like first off, it started off with the sake of like not metagaming. I just pretend like, okay, like this hat has magical abilities, and then like it just became a thing. Like I didn't plan for it to be that way, but then it just became
So many
something
in jokes just started happening.
Right. We started harping on it, and so then I just kept playing off that, and okay, yeah, yes, my magical hat, so on, and I was trying to make it entertaining and fun, and at the same time my character didn't know it wasn't magical. So
Wow. I'm sorry. Chad is really being good tonight. Chad is really good.
Actually,
Oh,
I didn't. I was when the Razzle actually had a question for Ryan. He said, Ryan, if you roll ones to death, what would he? If Ryan were to roll ones to death, what would he re-roll his character as right now? Don't ask me why I fudged that.
so if I died, if I had to re-roll, I would either roll another ranger because I really really like ranger, or if I rolled something different, it would be something with a heal, which I think is either cleric or paladin, as far as I know.
Or Ranger does get pre-spells in a few levels.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So.
Oh, see, it seems like it's even more broken.
Well, they get pretty minor heals.
Yeah,
Okay.
you also have to consider, like, I mean, I would probably be doing that kind of stuff out of combat for the most part, because
Okay.
if you take the opportunity to heal, then you can't take the opportunity to attack, and sometimes offense can be the best defense.
Okay.
I'm just gonna take the time to share this. What somebody shared in the chat.
Isn't this great? This is one of the things I love about watching these streams. Some of the viewers are absolutely fantastic. I mean, Ryan, the
Mhm.
bear gore thing that you had up in your chat, I thought was great.
Yeah.
That was great. So Ryan, really early on, apparently the ranger can have like a companion as a pet. So he got a bear. Neal, you could probably explain what happened next a lot better than I can.
Well, it's not so much he gets a random pet, but Rangers have a lot of animal empathy and animal handling skills, and he was, very interested in getting himself a pet, which is perfectly legitimate. You can befriend animals. And so in the attempting, he started befriending this bear, and we spent like an hour on it or something. And he was afraid the bear would run off in the middle of the night, so he tied the bear to a tree.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the middle of the night,
Logical next step.
Yeah, totally. Tie your.
That's what I would do.
Yeah. And the bear went up to, go take a piss or do something, in the middle of the night, and found itself tied to a tree and started flipping out because it's still very much a wild bear that they've only known for the better part of a day.
Yeah.
That had not been totally befriended, and even if it had befriended, I don't know.
It's not a domesticated bear.
Yeah, it was still a wild bear.
So I thought we were bros. I thought he would understand. Dude, just chill here for the night. I'm just, it's just a temporary thing.
If you guys were bros, why'd you need to tie him up? He would have
why
come
would
back.
you tie him up?
It was like we're bros, but you still,
Yo, you're a bear, dude.
Just bear with me on this thing with the rope, and we'll.
Oh man, what a horrible fun.
Just for one night, man. That's all. That's all it was.
Yeah. Yeah. So
the
bear
chat lit up. As
And,
soon as the bear puns just went off in the chat. It was amazing.
Yeah, so the bear flipped out and started making a mess, and everyone got really nervous and upset, and then they killed the bear.
They killed the bear.
Can you link me the chat somewhere? I don't know where it's at.
Yeah.
Johnny, do you have the chat?
Yeah, I'll,
Oh my god, that was absolutely amazing. I mean, I was sitting there watching the VOD because I ended up missing the part where he tied up the bear, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, why are you tying him up? I'm like, he's going to kill everyone. I was waiting for a roll for awareness. You don't roll 20s, the bear murders you.
Yeah, well.
You guys have new characters, but I mean, I guess you can be really nice at times, Neal. It seems like you can be really nice.
I don't know. I try and be I try and interpret the world as I think it would actually happen.
Okay.
To the best of my ability. So.
Okay. Maybe I'd just be a terrible DM then.
Yeah.
He just agrees. He's like, yeah, you'd probably kill your party.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of different approaches to DMing. Some people are really strict and their players die all the time. Others are really nice and their players never die. I try and be as impartial as possible, which has mixed effects.
I mean, I have a friend who plays a lot of Pathfinder. It's for you guys who've watched before. It's actually Chris, who's rarely on now because he's moved and he doesn't really have time. Yeah, he plays a lot of Pathfinder, and he told me from what he's seen in D&D that a lot of the wizards get really, really overpowered at the end of the game.
Oh yeah, wizards are fucking OP as shit.
He's like, so at a certain point, a wizard could just be like, so we cast a meteor strike and the whole town dies. GG, and that's it.
Yeah, well, high-level wizards are super powerful, which is, yeah, they're hard to work with, especially if you have a wizard that gets, out of hand. But then usually that's kind of a self, if you wind up, burning and destroying towns, some other wizard that's like a good wizard will come along and be like, what the fuck, this guy's a psychopath, we have to put a stop to this. And usually it's one of the classic things that, evil always turns in on itself because evil creatures tend not to work well with other evil creatures. And if you're burning a town, he's burning a town, you're like, let's burn towns together, and then you have a disagreement, and then you kill each other. Whereas, the good aligned people will be a little bit slower to react, but eventually they'll all be like, yeah, these guys are fucked up, let's go get them. And then they'll kind of go together. So the reason you don't have, evil wizards destroying shit all over the place is because if you get to that point where you're powerful enough to destroy towns, you've learned that, well, I better not destroy the towns, otherwise the other super powerful people will come and kill me. So, yeah.
I was going to ask Ryan something. Is this your first D&D that you've ever played?
Yeah, this is my first
RPG
experience.
Type game? Tabletop RPG type game?
Yeah, this is my first experience with any kind of role-playing whatsoever. I do have experience with RPGs, but not tabletop, just video games. But yeah, I had never done any role-playing at all until this specific role-play campaign.
Neal, is there anything you'd recommend to guys starting out or the beginning players exactly where to start off in, or how to
Don't worry.
be master players, I guess.
Don't worry about it, guys. Just the main objective of D&D is to have fun. So if you don't know what you're doing, don't fucking sweat it. These guys had no idea what you're doing. Just have fun, play characters that you think are interesting, and the rules you'll learn over time as you go through it. Things will smooth themselves out, and just like don't sweat about it. Don't sweat it. Just jump in with both feet and it'll be fun. It'll be great.
The main thing for me has been just trying to have fun, and party chemistry is really important. Like, if you're doing it, make sure you're doing it with people you like, and if you guys all enjoy each other's company and you have good chemistry and you can play off each other, like, that's super important.
Yeah.
You know, if you have that just in real life, you'll have that in game.
Yeah.
That sounds like some pretty sound advice.
I think Ryan probably probably worded it the best. And he said a lot of people have this weird thought of D&D as a bunch of these, there's like this really negative stigma toward it. And he said, when I was playing it, it was me and 4 or 5 friends sitting around having some beers. Said, and instead of watching a football game or a hockey game, we were playing D&D. So, he really kind of gave it a really nice tone towards it. So there's a lot of friends and there's a lot of in-jokes that develop from your game.
Mm-hmm.
Which I could definitely see from your, the game that you DM.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, you seem to have a lot of stuff on your hands. Until I actually tried getting you, I didn't realize how much stuff you have on your hands, Neal.
Yeah, well, I have a short window of opportunity where I can try and jump into this stuff, and I would rather do that than work in an office. So I'm jumping in, and I'm gonna try and see what I can do. So.
Is there anything that you'd like to sort of promote or shill?
Oh, just about all my stuff. So rather than naming everything I do, you should check out reddit/r/Koibu. That basically covers all my stuff. We have a mildly active community there, and you can check out my Twitch stuff at twitch.tv/Koibu. And I do like one-shots, which is a D&D campaign with fans. I do Mafia, which Ryan's a part of as well. Love Bites, which we just finished, Romantic Advice Show, which was hilarious. Shindigs is hilarious. And then I do stuff like, map making and behind the screens where you can actually see what it's like for a DM planning a game. And I probably do some other things that I can't think of right now.
I've seen the map making thing that you've done, the cartography.
Yeah.
That was actually, I was surprised at how much work is put into it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff put into it.
I take my world building fairly seriously. I mean, I've been playing D&D for like 10 or 15 years now. So at this point, it's like, well, if I'm going to build a world, I'm going to build a goddamn good world, and I'm going to think about everything I do, and I'm going to modify things as I go, and I'll, I'm not just going to like plop down shit. I'm going to try and think about it in the larger picture of things.
Now, there's another show that you also DM for, and that is Misclicks.
Yeah, the Misclicks. That's the other one.
And you mind talking about who is on there specifically?
So we have Jen from Roleplay, we have Anna Prosser, we have Miss Harvey, and we have J for Jade. And we do a all-female cast, pirate-themed D&D show where, I kid you not, the week before this we had a pillow fight and lots of girls seducing men and then killing them, lots of tying people up and then stripping them down and torturing them. They're
I think you just sold Donnie on this.
Yeah, they're fairly sadistic. But
I didn't realize how easy it is to become that person because.
So easy.
Oh,
when you have no restrictions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I did some unspeakable things during torture to a goblin who refused to speak, and then I threw his body in a pit of fire. So.
Yeah.
It gets there pretty fast, doesn't it?
Afterwards, I was like, maybe I should sit down and think about what I just did.
We actually we have a question from the chat that I think multiple people have asked so far. This one's for Ryan and Neal. What type of gifts have both of you received from fans of roleplay?
Ryan, you want to talk about your stuff?
Sure. So the best one that I've gotten was a donation from this guy named Reese. and he earmarked. So if people donate me money through PayPal, they can say specifically, "I want you to spend it on X," and if they send me that donation, I will spend it on X. So Reese sent me a donation and said, "I want you to spend it on a bear coat." And so I got the bear coat, and it's like a full-fledged thing with like
It's got a
bear
head
and
paws
claws and the hat, like the bear head with teeth. Like it's a full-on bear coat. So that's probably the best thing I've ever gotten.
Did you have to send him videos of you wearing nothing but this bear coat by any chance?
No. I don't do anything like that. I'm not like pimping out myself
That's
for
something
money.
completely different. That's a completely different kind of thing, Donnie.
Right.
I don't know what you're looking for.
Sorry.
You've been on the weird side of the internet.
The weird side of the internet? You mean the internet? You mean
Right.
that's for everyone.
Oh man. Yeah,
But
I was actually going to ask you to come on the show with it, but then I thought it was probably in bad taste.
yeah, I mean, I like wearing it, but I only like wearing it like for special occasions and stuff like that. I mean, I wore it as
Got
soon
the
as I
in-laws
got
over
it.
for dinner.
Yeah, I mean, just stuff like that. No, but you know, like I wore it the first time I got it on the first role play, and I wore it the whole time, and it's really really hot to wear. So like I can't wear it for extended periods of time, or I'll be burning up. But I try to put it on for special occasions and stuff like that.
That is absolutely great.
I think the best thing that you did was you started rubbing your face with it and like
Mhm.
stroking your beard.
Yeah, you know, like sometimes you think like this, and so I just started doing that with the bear claws, and I try to do little stuff that I think will be entertaining to people sometimes.
He did something. Now the funny thing is, when he had the bear, after he killed it, he decided to skin it and wear it as a like a cloak.
Exactly. So that's why they wanted the bear coat, is because my character wears a cloak in the game. So this is a little bit of like cosplaying as my character.
I found that hilarious.
Mhm.
That's great.
Yeah, you see, there's a lot of just in
So-
jokes that go on with this.
You may have tied up a bear, but in the end, you got a really cool coat out of the deal. So
That's true. That's true. I mean,
I was gonna
that's the
advise
silver
people not
lining.
to tie up any bears in D&D, but now that I think about it, you might get a really cool coat out of the deal.
Yeah,
so-
yeah. I had another one, and then I traded it for the bear.
I mean, that's what I mean about the freedom in this game. You could literally do anything. Like, you could just walk up and, you know, if there is a particular person that you find irritating, an NPC, you can just hit him in the face. See what happens after that.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
could. We our party has a tendency to kill people unprovoked. Random acts of stabbing and decapitation.
The only thing I haven't seen yet is a random act of burning someone's place of business down or a home. I haven't seen that yet. I haven't seen
We
arson.
haven't dabbled into arson yet, is what you're saying.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean,
we'll
I
get
haven't
there.
seen too
We'll
much
get
arson. I'm excited that you said we'll get there.
there. Hmm.
You know, I mean, I guess it's just to see how far you guys can get.
I mean, I think our party's alignment has been shifting towards evil, do whatever we want to get whatever our objective is done. Like, that's just kind of how we do things a lot of times.
I mean, I'll put it to you like this. At one point, the character Vincent, who was played by In Control, he's supposed to find some knight who is supposed to be a paladin, like a holy knight,
Hmm.
for this Dark Lord, which they're kind of iffy about. So they decide to kill him and decapitate him and put his head in a bag.
Yeah.
I think the decapitation in bags thing is probably one of the things that I wanted to steal, because it's just so grotesque and odd seeming. You know, it's like I kind of wanted to see how far my GM would take that. You know, just to see his reaction.
Sure.
Apparently, the entire party was disturbed by it.
Honestly, like, I think our party is everybody in the party in real life is pretty numb to a lot of stuff. Like, when we decapitate somebody, it's like nothing. Like, we just
I
like,
guess
okay.
it's just being a part of the internet generation.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, we're just like, okay, we decapitate him next.
Like, so now what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I guess we're about to close the show. Ryan, is there anything you kind of want to send out? Any links or anything?
Sure. So I just started streaming about a month and a half ago, and I've been streaming pretty much every day since I started. My stream is over on Twitch. It's twitch.tv/Ryuzilla. And yeah, so it'd be awesome if you guys wanted to pop in and check out my stream. I play a lot of games. I don't have any real shows yet, but I try to be entertaining nonetheless. And then also, if you want to follow me on Twitter, it's at MLGRyan.
And we will definitely post links to all of those in our YouTube VOD and when the site is actually up again. The main thing that we do is we do gaming-related previews, reviews, I guess editorials and tutorials. We'll also do giveaways. Donnie, what exactly were we going to be giving away this week? It was Assassin's Creed 3, and we gave away Far Cry 3, so it was Blood Dragon?
Yeah, I thought you gave that one away already.
No, I didn't get to give away Blood Dragon.
Okay, so then yeah.
I was supposed to put it on the website, but we ended up moving the website.
Yeah, we still have Assassin's Creed 3 and Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon to give away. Those are both for PC. Generally, all our giveaways are PC games.
And anybody wanting to win one of those copies, sub to either the YouTube or the Twitch channel. In the future, we may continue to do this on Twitch. We've been doing it on YouTube for quite a while. I end up pulling double duty since Donnie had some power issues. Normally we'd switch it where one of us would do the stream and the other one of us would do the other stream. That might have been the sound issues that you guys got earlier on. My sound card might have not been able to push everything out. That's pretty much all I.
Before we close, the chat was pretty. They were pretty specific about wanting to know what Neal's roleplay gift was from a fan.
Okay.
Oh, I got a D20 made out of a meteorite.
Ooh.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't even know about that.
Yeah.
That is pretty cool.
It's kind of on this, camera sometimes has a problem focusing, so I don't know if you'll be able to see it well. No, there we go.
There we go. Wow.
Dang.
Yeah.